All right, we have a sprint takeover here from Oncoming Shower, their article, Ledrith Teithio. And I do see this pronunciation, Ledrith Tai. I pronounce that the, because, thee, thy, thou, that's the word the. So if that's supposed to be the, Teithio, because I thought it would be Teithio. But because you're using the word the right there, I would. It's. I don't know the. Okay. And I'm not sure the difference. One's soft, one's hard. Like fee. Okay, fee. All right. Yeah, IPA might be an idea, but very few people know what the IPA symbology. So that the International Phonetics Alphabet, I think is what it's called. It's oh yeah, Sudan. Okay, I got it right. Yay. Um, yeah, it's a way that like to really get into what a word and a sounds like. Yeah, go ahead and throw a link over onto the live stream discussion as I get back into this. Okay, perhaps the oldest artifacts in Arathsgoth, the Ledrith Teithio, is a network of enchanted mirrors. Okay, let's put the timer on for those who are sprinting. Is a network of enchanted mirrors that work as linkways between various areas of the continent. The word themselves translate them. Okay, the words themselves translate. Okay, I don't think you should have the word, well, themselves, the words themselves, not sure, translate to magical travel in common. They had been a way for the ancient dragons to get from one place to another secretively and quickly in case of emergencies or necessity. Okay. Before the Union of Kingdoms, all the mirrors were protected and created by each member of the ancient dragons, totaling 18 overall. All connection, all connected. Okay, I would end the sentence right there and just start a new one. All connected by a long ethereal walkway in the demiplane constructed by the dragons themselves. However, after the War of the Skies, got some extra space right there, the mirrors were all fractured and broken, severing the demiplane from the material plane. There was one recently found by the Beacon of Hope inside Whitewall, which they helped restore. This led to them being able to travel from there to the only other unbroken mirror in Cape Verne. It is unclear whether this one was recently activated. The mirrors were the first and last way of traveling across Arasgoth through a separate ethereal demiplane. They were created over 1,000 years ago before the war and can only be activated by an ancient dragon. Okay. So, um, what this is telling me is that the it can be activated only by an ancient dragon. So if it ever gets turned off, it ain't coming back on unless an ancient dragon is still alive. Um, Interesting. Okay. Um, Yeah, okay. The Ledrith Teithio is created of two different materials overall. The mirror section itself is made out of moon glass. I don't think you need the word itself there. Just the mirror section is made out of moon glass, a special type of glass that is made by cooling the glass under the light of a full moon. It can only be crafted by high elves. Okay. Under the light of the full moon. I, again, the very long sentence, yeah, and just say, like, the mirror section is made out of moon glass. This special type of glass is made by da 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 da. Just keeping it shorter. The surrounding the surrounding mirror frame. Okay, you don't need to say surrounding because frame, by the word frame itself, means surrounding. So you just say the mirror frame. The mirror frame is made out of a myriad of metals, predominantly gold, silver, and bronze. Okay, so now here, this is a good way to keep the sentences together because predominantly gold, silver, and bronze is not a complete sentence in and of itself. I'm not sure if this should be a colon or a semicolon, but I think when in doubt, just leave that comma there. But it may be worth researching if that should be a semicolon because it separates it from a list. But now, here you are not using the Oxford comma right here. Personally, I am a fan of the Oxford comma. Many people are not. Though one of my coworkers is a diehard anti-Oxford comma and person, and what he told me was that if you are using a list of 3 that are one word each, as you have here, you do not need to use the Oxford comma. However, if it's 3 multi-word phrases that you're listing, then an Oxford comma would be appropriate. So personally, I would put the Oxford comma in. However, according to the rules of my coworker, you don't need to. So I just, take it for what it's worth. I think that's a personal preference. I prefer clarity, and that it's not Chicago style to use the Oxford comma, but I prefer the Oxford comma. So, his name is also Greg, and so Greg would be happy to hear me say this. The mirror is held within the frame by a thin layer of melted platinum around the seams. Okay, at the top of the mirror is a large rune, hand carved in ancient Draconic. I don't know if you need. No, you can. Yeah, that's a. No, you're not joking. We have had combat. It is funny. It is pointless. But yes, I have had combat at work. Okay. Mechanics and inner workings. The mirror is powered, okay, but also it also depends if you're writing a technical documentation uh versus nonfiction versus fiction versus technical versus depending on what style of work that you're producing. He is a trained technical writer, and so it is what it is. All right. The mirror is powered by magic and needs a large amount of power to connect it to the Demon Plane walkway. Once activated, it needs an ancient to open the pathway or it cannot be used, despite using innate magical power to turn it on. Once the mirror is activated, there is a time limit of 20 seconds before the pathway will close once again. This will then need an ancient dragon to reopen the pathway to travel through. Once inside the demiplane, any mirror that is activated and unbroken can be walked through to enter the material plane. Okay, so this is interesting where you're talking about the ancient dragon needs to turn it on. You only have 20 seconds. That seems to contradict the statement up here previously about needing an ancient dragon. Yeah, like, to me, it's telling me that you need an ancient dragon sitting next to the mirror to go on and off. So what is supposed to happen is anyone can power it up, but the ancient dragon activates it. Okay. The ancient okay. They basically okay. Then I would okay, so because then here um I would prefer to have a sentence something like that. Um, upon initial use, or some, yeah, it does need some clarity. Upon initial use, a dragon must connect the mirror to the demiplane pathway walkway. After it is activated, comma, any user, anybody can then power it on by doing X. So I I would recommend that you throw in a sentence in there, a sentence or two, a sentence explaining it must be turned on by an ancient dragon. The second, it can then be used by anyone else, if that is true. And then the only way, if deactivated, you would need to have an ancient dragon, and then you can explain a little bit more about the process of activating it versus the process of turning it on, and also the process of turning it off and also deactivating it. So there's four things there. And then the safeguards that they use to not deactivate it. Yeah, initiated. So I had it so so how I had it is you can turn it on at the plug, but no one can go through it unless they have the password that the dragons have. Okay. But I need to know this though. Are the dragons dead? Are there any more dragons? Wait. Okay, so the dragons are lost in time. They are no longer around, but they have been finding them. Okay. Um, that is okay. So the fact that the dragons aren't, well, the beacons of hope, my party, have been finding the dragons. Okay. You may want to then link to an article or something talking, because that's the interesting. Um, that's an interesting thing. to talk about. But it's nice you're giving him 20 seconds instead of 6. Yeah, a current history, or because you have, okay, so you have the history, you have the construction, and then you can say current uses, and then you can describe that. Um, yeah, and you could have a little thing about the beacons of hope, and explaining, um, yeah, explaining how the beacons of hope are interacting it. And you can say, okay, for example, the beacons of hope, they are doing XYZ. Their quest is to find it and stuff like that. But then again, the beacons of hope, this is more a wiki explaining the world, not your interactions with the people. I don't know. It's kind of hard. James, you can always whisper to me via Twitch, or DM via that. Let's see, I need to lean over here to look around the. So I think if I add in current uses and rewrite how it is used clear, yes. Yes, I strongly recommend that you have a current uses, and you can say, it is the quest of this group to do XYZ, to discover all of them and to unlock them and stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. Well, I think this is some great stuff. I think, yeah, definitely gonna like this. This is fun. I would go through and rework on your sentence lengths, and also that clarity about the current use of it, because that is what is confusing to me. Is that I don't know, is it broken forever? Is it a lost technology that can never be reclaimed? Or is this something in the process of being reclaimed and becoming in more common use? The the whole politics of it, who controls them? A lot of great tangents that you can go through, you could follow, if that is your desire. A lot of great paths to follow. All right, so let's get ready for another sprint.